In all actuality, it doesn't take much time or money or energy just to be a good person. We choose what we are, and we choose to behave a certain way.
Learning to swim is about learning from others. Be the author of your own story, not a character in somebody else's story. Get inspired by others to take action. Learn how to set goals to exceed your own expectations. So often the answer that you are looking for is right in front of you. On Learning to Swim, we highlight those answers through storytelling. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing really, really well. I am so thrilled to have you on Learning to Swim. So I want to introduce you to all of my audience and guests. This is Christopher, and he is, I'm going to have to read this because there is a lot here. You are a consultant, podcaster, rare disease advocate, philanthropist, and single father with 2 boys, 1 with special needs. You are originally from Southern California.
Yep.
And you are, so Christopher Velona, your last name, is the founder of Project Sebastian. And Project Sebastian is a nonprofit raising awareness to cure Batten Disease. And that is a terminally fatal disease. Your son, Sebastian, who's 17, and he is a wonderful reminder of hope and really resilience, because he has never let the disease get in the way of living his life, or it's not what defines him, essentially. And he was diagnosed in late 2016 after being misdiagnosed with epilepsy. Yeah. So through your advocacy, you've brought awareness to the state of California with the help of Senator Scott Wilk by passing SJR-25, giving California its own Batten Disease recognition on the first weekend of June. And through your passion for helping others, Christopher created his own consulting firm, CSG Inc., and that connects individuals in a variety of areas, specializing in childhood illnesses, CBD research, and addiction and recovery. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, just hearing that back, it's overwhelming. Thank you.
Yeah, well, well, let's dive in, and I think we'll talk more fully about your journey. But for starters, let's start with a really easy question. What does resilience mean to you?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I'd have to say that my definition of resilience is getting up every day, having the opportunity to be different, to be better, and never giving up. And everybody's definition, in my opinion, is different when they say never give up. And they always have these different definitions of your definition of success. My definition of success is that I get to be up having conversations like this on a daily basis with brand new people like yourself. Thank you again for having me on your show.
You're so welcome.
I'm truly grateful for the connection. Resilience is what you are witnessing right now, Kristan, because without me being persistent along with resilient, I wouldn't be here today and sharing my story with, essentially a complete stranger, as well as many, many other strangers who have never heard of me or this disease that we're going to talk about, or my consulting group. And it just starts from one post or one conversation. So I would have to say that if you just keep going, and of course, if you have children like me, you'll understand the old just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And it's true. It's very true. If you just keep going, you'll figure out who your tribe is and get some help along the way.
Absolutely. Well, and so along the same lines, what does failure look like to you?
Well, I don't know if I have a true definition of failure because I really haven't failed in a lot of the categories that people claim to be categorically, failures. Um, I guess you could think that my failure at my addiction, basically not having the ability to stay sober and destroying not only my life, but the lives of the people around me. Um, that's a huge failure. And then finding recovery and then having the ability to be sober over 24 years. Um, that's another definition of resilience, So I,
Yeah.
I tend to look at what people think failures are and successes are. And I kind of like try to, do I really fit that narrative? Do I really have a definition of it? And, as we were taught as children, as we teach our own children about the difference between good, bad, evil, failure, success, I try to keep it as positive as I can. I was told very, very, very recently, as well as I can remember too, that every time you fail at something, you're that much closer to success.
Mm-hmm.
Your definition will be different than my definition. So if it rings with you, then you got to get back up, dust yourself off, and maybe try a different step or a different approach.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%. I love the phrase failing forward
Yeah.
because I do feel like when failures, so to speak, are a great opportunity for learning. And I also really just want to highlight the fact, and this is one of the things I really stress when I'm working with my clients is that, we have these words like failure or success, and there's these kind of accepted definitions of these things, but how just vitally important it is to be clear about your own personal definition of those words, because
Yes.
it's going to be it's going to be different for everyone, like you said. Well, the other kind of conversation that I'm always interested in having with people who have, lived a full life and are in the kind of the midst of it as you are, is I think a lot about creativity in the sense of being innovative, thinking outside of the box. And one of the things that strikes me as a core component to that is having a curiosity. And so I'm curious if that is a component of your work and how you do remain curious.
Sure. I'm constantly curious about a lot of things, from people's whereabouts to phrases that they use to current events. I do read a lot. I tend to stay away from the news, but then I find the news on social media, and I try to have an open mind about what that looks like and how I'm supposed to interpret it. And I often find myself struggling because you want to get mad and you want to cheer and you want to. It's just easier just to stay out of it. And there are no good viewpoints unless they benefit somebody else. And I believe that that's the crux of a lot of people's manipulation. And I was a master manipulator a very long time ago, and I vowed never to do that. So I lead with transparency, and I lead with abruptness. And you may not like it, but you'll appreciate it later on. A lot of people would tell you that, hey, what's Christopher Velona like? And they always tell you that, he is, he's just an asshole. But you appreciate that person because he's just going to tell you like it is, and he will take a lot of time out of your worry because he'll just do the right thing and just tell you the truth. And that's a hard thing for us, Kristen. We don't like the truth. And just because I say it doesn't mean it's true, but if you resonate with some of those issues, or that ability to kind of go, oh yeah, I understand that, or oh yeah, I did that. Just the acknowledgement of yourself being speaks volumes for your character. And we all have a lot of character defects that we're trying to, well, I do anyway. I'm trying to Correct. So I know it's probably not what you wanted to hear in that answer, but that's what when I heard that, that's exactly where I went.
Well, and as I mentioned when we were talking before we started recording, you have not heard these questions before. And really the purpose of that is I do want people's, I don't want it to be rehearsed. And so I really appreciate that. And I do think that there is, so often, I agree with you 100% around that it can be so hard for us to hear truths that are not in alignment with kind of what we want or think we want. And really, I mean, so oftentimes truths are really data points and they're information for us to then, okay, so I've got this piece of information. What do I do now? Right. And it's well, and I think it's interesting because during this time we're talking during COVID, I think prior to this, a lot of people thought that there was so much that was within their control. And I think we're kind of having to recognize that there's not that much that's in our control, or in my opinion.
Yeah, you'd be right. We were never in control, and we are not in control. A lot of us think we are, but we're not. We're only in control of that person in front of the mirror, in my opinion.
Yeah. So another just, another easy question is, what would be your secret to a meaningful life?
Gratitude, honestly. I know you hear it all the time, but until you actually have recognized, how bad you performed in life prior to you getting help or doing the work to change, you realize it's really simple. For me anyway, I'm just speaking for me, it is extremely awesome that I can be grateful today. That's for me, the definition of a meaningful life is to be grateful for what you have and what you're able to do with it. People talk about paying it forward and giving back. Those are all catchy phrases. I think these last 10 years that was created to make people feel better about being wealthy or about trying to have this reputation of a good person. In all actuality, it doesn't take much time or money or energy just to be a good person. We choose what we are and we choose to behave a certain way. So before I got sober, I was an asshole. I mean, I'm an asshole now, but I was really an asshole. And I was a bad guy, I didn't kill anybody, but I did some stupid shit. And now I have 2 young men that I'm raising who've never seen me loaded or high or, so I'm grateful for that. And I hope that, my ability to live a sober life, it's not all boring and glum like they say. I can still be crazy, but I hope that they find that the path that they choose, that you don't have to be the number one person. You don't have to be the most popular. You don't have to be the most successful to be liked. I think people forget about the genuine aspect of being a human being because we always lead with the stuff, and in my situation, being grateful because of my journey with a dying son, that a lot of people can't relate to, but there's a small niche of percentage of people around the world that can. And they'll always tell you that they were extremely grateful to have the time that they did with their son or their daughter on this planet. And that changes them. And a lot of people have become very violent and very angry because they feel cheated and they blame God of their understanding for the loss. And a lot of people are really just grateful, and they live every day in gratitude. And that's, you don't have to write checks of thousands of dollars to different things. Here, being present is everything about being grateful. What can I do to help you today? What can I do to be better today? How can I achieve helping groups of people, hundreds of people, thousands, millions? What can I do? We all have a voice and we all have the ability to share. But the problem is not a lot of people are listening. And that's okay too. So when people say, oh, Chris is just, crazy Chris again, he's trying to change the world, one kid at a time. I love that. You're damn right. You're damn right. I'm trying to change the world one kid at a time. So yeah, I'm grateful that you're able to have an opinion about what I'm trying to do. So that means you're listening. And that to me is extremely real. I'm just so satisfied. I'm satisfied that you reached out, Kristan. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like, I mean, as far as the listening piece goes, I know for myself, I mean, I especially in the work that I do, we both do consulting. It's like, I never claim that I'm teaching anything new under the sun, right? It's all there. It's just a matter of, it's a matter of how you say it sometimes. And then it's a matter of, people being ready to hear it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we will hear the same thing from different people, or even the same people in our lives. And it's just, hitting us at the right moment. So I wholeheartly agree that as you said earlier, it is about just, keeping on track and keep on swimming and just staying consistent. Yeah, correct. For sure. Yeah. Well, what would you say is your best, and this could be professionally or personally, and I guess it's funny, these questions were actually crafted or conceived of before COVID, and I am amused by the tone that they've taken now that we're speaking in this time of COVID. But what's your best kind of simple habit that you do on a daily basis that you feel is something that you'd be willing to share with everyone?
When you say habits, in what regard?
Well, okay, so you've mentioned that you have a habit of kind of a gratitude list, yeah. So to speak. I'm putting my words on it, but well, maybe professionally, how do you kind of, what is something that you keep at that you feel like really helps to kind of continue to get your message out there, or whatever avenue you want to talk about, whether it's your advocacy or your consulting?
I think that my habits may vary very differently from others, but who knows? When my son is here, my oldest son who's suffering from Batten Disease, it's a daily habit to check in on him if I'm not sleeping with him, to see if he's still alive. And if I feel his heartbeat or I hear him snoring, I have this ability just to say, fuck it. There is no big deals. This kid is here, and the rest is a blur. I mean, it's just, honestly, if my son is alive today and I check on him and he's breathing, I don't have any more stress or worry. So I make some coffee, and I buy the cheapest brands I can find in bulk, and I buy the cheapest espresso I can find. And I bought a Mr. Coffee for $10. So I mix these two coffees together, and I get a taste that is unprecedented. I will put Starbucks out of business, and I will put the coffee bean out of business. And you all can market that however you want to do it. So I like the rest of the world, didn't like spending $5 to $6 on a cup of coffee. And this method I just learned on my own, and it's delicious. And then I'll come over here to my office here, and I'll go through countless spam emails looking for the one doctor that responded, or the one client that said, hey, let's get together on a Zoom call. And then I go back and I wake my other son up, and we start the day. That is the daily habit. Now, another habit that people may or may not, they probably gonna. So I have these sticky pads, and if you could see my desk, there's probably like about 15 to 20 separate notes of what to do, who to call. I don't have a real calendar per se. I don't do the electronic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have books and notes and files and, you know, notebooks of things I must accomplish and what I'm trying to do to prepare for the day. And it's like, once I have that first sip of coffee, it all becomes like, oh yeah. And then I follow this crazy pattern of following with emails, texting my sober friends, making sure that the bills are paid. And then I just get on a call for a networking meeting, whether it's talking about Project Sebastian or talking about CSG. And that's kind of how it goes. And I don't leave this desk until I go downstairs in the garage and do my workout because I built a gym. That's different. So that's a new habit.
Yeah.
You know, I forget that there was a book like that. I don't know. It was 21 Days to Habitual Success or something like that, where you needed to do something for 21 days in a row for it to become a new habit. And it's so true. And there could be good habits and bad habits, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I start my day. It's probably similar to a lot of your viewers who are in business or who are in philanthropy or who are in podcasting, you know, because I have many hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing all of those habits. And if you're willing, you can also share your, you know, the perfect ratio of the cheapest coffee and cheapest espresso. Do you think that, so just as an aside, do you think the Mr. Coffee Maker is the essential element too? Like if you ended up doing this in some like a Braun or a Krups coffee maker, it probably wouldn't taste the same.
No, the thing is that every entrepreneur and every advocate for children is dead ass broke. So all the money that we create or generate donations, it goes to the children's services or to buying food. And so if you bought like a $50 or $100 coffee maker, that's you're not really saving any money. And then you got to go buy the Krups or the K cups or, you know, the discs. And those are like $16 for a box, and you're only getting like 8 cups. And it's like, this is just so expensive. So yeah, if you go to your grocery store, wherever you live, go to the coffee section. Don't go to eye level coffee because that's the most money. You want to go, oh, what's down there? And you want to buy the biggest, cheapest brand. A lot of people don't know this, but a lot of coffee is sourced from the same places that are in your expensive labels. Okay. So if you find like a U-Ban or a store brand, you want to buy the store brands because the store brands buy from the big manufacturers and then they put their own private label on there. So that gigantic tub, which is $5.99, is going to last you more than a month and a half to 2 months. And then you go to the espresso section, you don't buy the eye level, you buy all the way to the left, it's on sale, right? You buy your bag of espresso for $4.50. And I'm telling you, you'll have that amazing taste that cost you literally $2. $2.
Okay.
And that Mr. Coffee maker, he's
Yeah.
gonna last. He's gonna last. It's tried and true. And if it breaks, Kristan, you go down to the store and you buy another one for $10. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, you heard it here first, everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you shared that with us.
Yeah.
Well, jumping ahead, what would be one word to describe your personal journey?
My personal journey, one word.
Or to describe your life. And it could be, I like to kind of give people the option. It could be your life in this moment. It could be kind of more of a historical view of your life.
Mm. Redemption.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here. I should be dead or in jail or in a psych ward. But I get to speak among the living, and I get to be on a show, and I get to meet people like you. And it's amazing. I'm truly blessed. I'm grateful. And yeah, it's redemption, complete redemption.
Yeah. I love that word. I
Yeah.
love that. And would you have one other word that would describe your professional journey?
Ah, perseverance.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I was told last week by one of my other political consultants, because um, I'm in that arena right now because I'm trying to garner support through the Congress and to raise more awareness at the federal level. And what we did at California was, that Senate Joint Resolution 25 was the first time ever California recognized Batten Disease awareness. So every day in June, we get recognized for the rest of time. And so we usually have an event centered around that. And unfortunately, we couldn't have it this year due to the COVID.
Oh, yeah.
We had to cancel our run. But somebody on that call last week said, what you're trying to do, Christopher, is really hard. It's kind of unheard of to be inside of Congress at one of these trials talking about what families go through. We usually reserve that for pharmaceutical companies or other advocacy groups, but not single individuals.
Mm.
And there was this big pause. It was like, 6 squares on the Zoom.
Right.
And I said, you obviously don't know who I am. You don't know what I do, and you have no idea what it's like to be a special needs parent. Wait till they get a hold of me. And that is pretty much the perseverance. And when people tell you you can't do something, just say you will, and then do it. Because those people that say you can't are the ones that don't want you to do it for some reason, or they don't believe you can do it. So they're trying to save you some embarrassment and time.
Mm-hmm.
But just think about all the things that you accomplished, Kristan. How many times you heard that? What if you actually listened to those people? So perseverance is my journey. That's my business. One word model.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I want to kind of underscore the fact that unfortunately, there are so many people who will tell you that you can't do it, or whatever form of whatever verbiage that takes. And a lot of times they can be well-meaning because they may care about you and want to be kind of saving you from, like you said, some embarrassment or something, but I mean, so what? It's, I think embarrassing ourselves is being human, right?
True. And sometimes those mistakes come from the people that love us the most because they love us and they don't want us to fail.
Yeah.
And one of those was my father, who just passed away from the COVID.
Oh gosh, I'm so
I
sorry.
remember thank you. I remember when I came home from college, and basically he asked me, he says, what are you going to do? I need you to come home. You need to get a job. You need to do something, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I'm not coming home. Now I'm going to be in the television business. I'm going to be the youngest producer ever in America, in the world. And my father ran television stations and was very, very well known in the independent markets. And first thing he said to me when I came home, he says, you're living in a dream world, son. You're never going to make it. Never going to happen. You're not thinking. You need a job. You need responsibility. You need to take care of stuff, blah, 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 blah. 6 months later, I was sitting at the CBS inside the president's office, and he was giving me a job on a television show. So I'm really glad I didn't listen to my father, but years back, he had told me, he said, I was just trying to protect you from this awful industry.
Well, and I do feel like so often it's it is those people who love us dearly and are
Yeah.
trying, you know, like I said, I think they are very well-meaning, but to your point, yeah, it's worth ignoring, and it's worth ignoring the voices that we generate inside ourselves too, right? Because
Oh,
there's enough of a there's enough of a chorus just internally that kind of tries to talk us out
oh my
of
God,
different things.
man, Freed. What do they say? Fear breeds fear.
Yep.
And then it's like, I'm not getting out of bed today. Nope.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So I'm always curious,
Yes.
again, around what, again, this idea of work and work-life balance, we were talking earlier about how that has, with the COVID, the line has blurred, even more so than it has in the past. And so what is one of your first, and it could be when you were a kid or whatever, what was like a very, very first job or task that you were paid for?
Well, as a kid, I grew up in La Cunada, Flint Ridge, California. Born in the Valley, born in Sherman Oaks, moved to La Cunada as a very young boy, very spoiled. Let's just get that straight. Anybody that grows up in La Cunada, you're doing all right. But my father he only gave us an allowance. And for those that don't understand what allowance is, to all you youngsters out there, is actually you had to do stuff around the house to get like $1. So you had to vacuum or take out the trash, walk the dog, pick up the dog poop, take care of the cats. That's what you got allowance. And we got $5. So we were like, woo, all right. And all we had to do was just do all those simple things. But we realized that when we got the $5, we didn't have enough money to play all these video games. Again, we would go to the video arcade or the bowling alleys or to the soda shops where they had these standalone machines that now people are playing on their handheld devices at home.
Right.
So I was a huge Galaga fan and Mario Brothers, man. I could kill everybody, but we ran out of money so fast. So what we did was like, how are we going to do this? And it was easy to steal money from your parents. My dad, yeah. Honestly, my dad used to come home with stacks of cash from, the racetrack, because he used to own a horse, and he just had this just a fat roll, and he won't mind. Well, the one day we got caught, I couldn't move my hands because we got the belt.
Oh my goodness.
Back in the 70s, things were different. Parental, you could get away with a lot of stuff, and I think it actually shaped who I am today. But that's another story. So what we did was like what was around us, and on our property we had 4 Haas avocado trees. Now, I hated avocados at this time in my life. I was like, but I realized that when I went to the grocery store, they were selling avocados for like $3 for $1, $4 for $1 any given day of the week. And I had an endless supply. And we had these Great Danes that would always eat the avocados.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it was disgusting because I had to pick up all that stuff. But so we picked like 4 or 5 barrels, like the 40-gallon trash bags, barrels. And we would take them to the corner on Palm Drive and Lyons Avenue. And it was an intersection, and it was all the parents were coming down the street from Palmcrest Elementary School. So they had to stop. And our signs came up. And anytime that the grocery store down the street had a deal, we would do it better. We'd have 5 for $1. We'd have, 6 for $1.25. And it was a cash business, and it was an endless supply of avocados. Let's just say I never came home from Friday afternoon until Sunday morning playing video games.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so we split it between the 4, your 4 friends. And that was my first job at actually making money. And it was great. Until it wasn't so great until the grocery store called the cops on us. So
oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was a great summer. Yeah.
Well, so, and then do you see, I've always wondering if there's a connection possibly to that first kind of entrepreneurial endeavor to what you do now.
Yes, it's the creative aspect of actually working smarter, not harder. And how do we do that? And I think everybody can pull from their childhood about some of the stupid things that they did, but they also remember the great things that they did, and how easy it was when we were children, because we didn't have anybody saying don't.
Mm-hmm.
We just said, you shoot your eye out, kid, and we didn't care. We went and got the BB guns anyway, and we shot each other because we were just stupid. But the thing for me is like, how can I sit here and create that type of momentum again? It was so easy because I had all these trees and I had all these cars lining up. It was just easy. I had a captive audience. So I used that, and I really do pull upon that. It's like, I've told this story probably a million times. And because of that, I love avocados today. I eat them all the time. They're delicious. I make a mean guacamole, Kristan. I do. Mm-hmm.
Well, I probably was the same as a kid. I didn't think they were so great, and I am a huge fan now, for sure. Yeah. Well, so part of the idea of learning to swim is this idea of the water that we swim in, and our bright spots and blind spots, those things that are, kind of that we're aware of, and those things that we aren't aware of. And so what would be an in plain sight talent that you have? So something that most people, if they said, oh, Christopher, he's so good at.
I hate personal compliments. Honestly, it breeds complacency, and I need to stay hungry in order to achieve my tasks, if you will.
Okay.
But what I've been told is that I have this tenacity for life. I have this appetite for forgiveness. And I appreciate those compliments. Those are things, so I never like to label. I hate labels. But, of course, we're all, somebody wants to know who we are. Oh, you're a director of this, you're a CEO of that. And, but for me, I will give you those two descriptions of me by close people in my life.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And then what would be perhaps more of a hidden talent that you have that you'd be willing to share with us?
It's more like a secret talent. All my talents, I think, are just really transparent at this point. I guess one of the talents is that I never give up hoping for a better world. I never give up hoping that these kids can get the medicine that they need. And I don't say that enough. I'm not scared. It's just like nobody seems to be listening. And so it's defeating at times. So it's like, it's so special to me. I don't want to give it away, but I have to give it away in order to keep it. And that's very hard for me to do. It's challenging knowing that probably my son probably won't make it. So, but you need to save these other children after the fact. So therein lies the hope.
Yeah.
It's not for nothing. There's a lot of shit at stake in this world. And my true calling is these kids. And it starts with Sebastian. Sorry.
No, that's.
Happy Monday.
Oh, no, I appreciate you sharing so deeply. And it is Well, I mean, I have 3 children that are slightly older than yours, and thank goodness we are. I'm not in the position that you are, and I've thought about it at times, and
I'm
and
glad you're not.
yeah, I am too. Thank you, but I do think that I'm always so amazed and inspired when I get a chance to talk to people like you, because I sometimes doubt how it feels like it could be so heavy. I don't know how I would move forward at times if I were faced with a similar challenge. So I really,
Yeah.
I admire the work that you're doing so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you helping me, because you are helping me. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Well, if there's one thing that you could improve uh, in your process, and maybe this is more in with regard to your consulting work, what would that be?
Um, Patience.
Mm,
We're all so ready to help or ready to work, and sometimes, when we get somebody, we just destroy them. We just don't listen enough, and because we're just so we want to help these consultants groups, including myself. It's like we aspire to help, but we really want the clients, and we want the referrals, and we want it now. We want that instant gratification, because we all got bills to pay, and now we're locked in COVID and stuff like that. And you know, I didn't expect any of this to happen when I launched in December of 2019. After helping launch a few companies, I thought, this is the right time. I have the knowledge. Let's go. And I had this Rolodex of major companies and major people and major sponsor groups and stuff like that, and in like 10 different categories. And then this all happened. And then my father and mother got coronavirus, but my dad passed away, but my mother survived. And then the economy goes on complete halt, and there's no disposable income, because let's face it, corporations rely on consultants with their disposable income. And so there's no income for anybody. And so it really has taught me to kind of breathe and say, okay, patience, because we're all going to get back to it sooner or later. Whether you're a political entity or not, or just a human being, if we all could just practice patience and just be ready.
yeah.
So I do this. I hone my craft. I interview other people for my podcasts. I talk to senators and assemblymen and women about getting my message out. That doesn't take away anything from what I'm doing, because nobody's doing anything. So I need to practice more patience on a daily basis. So if I could help anybody understand that it's going to require patience for you to be successful, then you just need to stop, smell the roses, look around, be grateful for what you've accomplished, and to give yourself a hug and tell yourself that you love yourself, because you can't expect anyone else to do it for you. And that starts with patience and the belief that you can when others say you can't. That is the one thing that I used to spit on and laugh at about these other entrepreneurs who are billionaires by now. So patience is a great word to learn. Yeah.
Well, Christopher, thank you so much for being my guest today. And I feel like that is a really lovely place to wrap up, at least for this round of our conversation.
Yeah.
And I am so appreciative of everything that you've shared. We will have in our notes, we will have more information on how folks can get in contact with you and support the work that you're doing and learn more about all the consulting offerings that you have as well. So be sure to check that out. You're so welcome. And I am wishing you a great day, and thank you again.
Oh, thank you. The honor was mine and the pleasure was mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Our goal is to inspire others and share stories to find meaning in your daily life. Let go of the traditional norms and be yourself at home, work, and beyond. The awareness of bright spots and blind spots is a performance-enhancing tool that you can apply to your life and to your organization today.